They say every family has secrets. Mine just happened to shatter in front of 50 of the most powerful people in New York, under the glittering chandeliers of the Langston Grand, right as my husband's palm crashed across my face. Blood on my lips, silence hanging in the air, every camera in the room pointed at me. But what nobody expected was how I laughed, and how that laugh burned everything they'd spent decades trying to hide. Let me back up. I'm Julia Anderson, 36, lawyer, not born into money but married into it, for better or worse. Mostly worse, the longer I stayed. We lived in a penthouse on Central Park West, polished marble, hidden cameras, closets big enough to swallow you whole. My husband Ethan, God, he used to be so alive. The first years, we were just two kids in love, sneaking slices of pizza into bed, getting drunk at jazz clubs, talking about everything. Then his mother, Victoria, started pulling him back in. Bit by bit, the Ethan I loved faded, replaced by someone polished and perfect and hollow. If you've never seen someone you love become a stranger, well, you're lucky. Victoria was the kind of woman who'd make the queen look meek. Every glance from her was a command. Every family dinner felt like a board meeting, and if you didn't toe the line, you were out. She claimed it was all for the good of the Anderson legacy, whatever that meant. I learned pretty quickly, in this house, privacy was an illusion. One day, I found a camera hidden behind a vase in our living room. I didn't scream. I just smiled, unplugged it, and hid my own secrets better. You see, the Andersons weren't just rich. They were careful. The kind of careful that takes generations to perfect. Victoria didn't just want control. She wanted obedience. Ethan, her golden boy, was her masterpiece. But the truth is, no one gets programmed forever. The day of my birthday started like every other. Me, at the edge of our bed, laptop open, the soft hum of the city below. But this wasn't work for my law firm. I was looking at the Anderson Trust documents. There was a clause buried in there, and I'd memorized every word. If, after 5 years of legal marriage, there were no separation filings, no scandals, no abuse substantiated, the inheritance would finally transfer. Day 1826. Today. If I walked away now, empty hands. If Ethan slipped, even once, they'd lose everything. Victoria played her game well, but I played mine better. I spent years collecting evidence. Bank records, shell company trails, recordings from therapy sessions Ethan had with Dr. Adrian Clark, the Andersons' personal behavioral specialist. His job? Rewire my husband, turn him into a machine who'd never question Mom. I found payments disguised as consulting fees, secret meetings late at night. It took 3 years to build the case, and 2 more to figure out what to do with it. You know what nobody ever tells you about revenge? It's slow. It's lonely. And sometimes it's the only thing that keeps you breathing. I kept up appearances, birthday parties, charity galas, fake smiles at Victoria's side. I let her believe she was winning. But every day I grew colder, sharper. I started seeing Ethan not as a husband, but as a living artifact of her obsession. Still, every so often, there was a flicker, some piece of him peeking through the cracks. It almost broke me. That night, Victoria planned my birthday like a coronation. The Langston Grand rooftop, skyline glittering, champagne flowing, every guest a pawn in her game, senators, judges, billionaires, all gathered to watch me belong to the Andersons. Not one person from my side, not my friends, not even my sister. This wasn't for me. It was a show for them. We arrived, Ethan silent beside me, his arms stiff and cold. The elevator doors opened, and Victoria was already there, midnight blue gown, diamond smile. "Darling Julia," she cooed, hugging me with a grip like steel. "You wore red." She hated red. I grinned, just a little too wide. "It's my favorite color." She narrowed her eyes. "Let's make this a night to remember." Oh, I planned to. The whole thing felt like a movie set. Waiters in white jackets, string quartet in the corner, ice sculptures melting slow and elegant. I floated through the crowd, glass in hand, counting every minute. Dr. Clark arrived, nodding to Victoria, eyes on Ethan like he was a lab rat about to be dissected. William, the family lawyer, fixer really, whispered something about timing and stability by the flower arch. I caught every word. Then, dinner. We sat at a gleaming table long enough to land a small plane. Victoria at the head, me beside Ethan, Dr. Clark across from me, staring like he already knew I was the problem. There was a toast. To Julia, loyal, disciplined, a true Anderson. The words left a film in my mouth. After the oysters, Victoria pressed her hand onto my shoulder, proprietary, rehearsed. "After dinner," she whispered, "we'll have a special announcement." Her fingernails dug into my skin. My phone buzzed twice under the table. The first signal. I was ready. The room shifted. The lights warmed. Victoria's cue. Ethan stood up, glass trembling. His voice came out flat, robotic. "Julia, you've betrayed us." Gasps. I heard my own heartbeat. "We know about your investigation, about the files." Victoria watched him like a proud scientist showing off her creation. The room waited for my meltdown. Instead, Ethan's hand shot out, so fast I barely saw it. His palm collided with my cheek. White-hot pain ringing in my ears. I stumbled into the marble centerpiece, felt the blood run down my chin. The whole world went silent. And in that silence, I started to laugh. Not a sob, not a scream, a laugh, sharp and cold, echoing off every crystal glass. Cameras went up. Every phone in the room captured the blood on my lip, the look on Victoria's face as the mask started to slip. "You really should have waited 5 more minutes," I said, loud enough for everyone. "But I guess programming can't fix stupidity." I raised my glass to Victoria. "To Control, may it rest in peace." The crowd buzzed. Senators' wives whispered. Judges paled. Victoria's eyes darted, searching for someone to take back the narrative. But it was gone. That's when the messages hit. Every guest's phone buzzed, headlines flashing. Anderson Foundation under federal investigation, psychological conditioning exposed, billions laundered, whistleblower evidence. It was all there. Everything I'd spent 5 years collecting had just gone live. Victoria tried to regain control. "She's unstable," she said, voice tight. "Ethan, help your wife." But Ethan just stared at his hand, shaking. Why did I? I wiped the blood from my mouth, standing tall. "You spent your life programming your son. Tonight, you triggered the wrong experiment." I looked around the table. You all just watched it happen. Phones everywhere, live streams, news anchors already calling for resignations. William, the fixer, was inching away, already dialing his own lawyer. Dr. Clark looked like he might be sick. 2 men in suits appeared at the door, FBI. Calm, no guns drawn, but their presence turned the air electric. "Mrs. Anderson," one said, "we're here for the documents." Victoria's composure cracked. She lunged at William. "Do something," she hissed. But William wasn't stupid. He was gone before her voice could land. Ethan sat down hard, burying his face in his hands. The programming was breaking. "I didn't mean to hit her," he whispered. "I swear, I didn't." His eyes met mine, lost, finally human. "Julia." I wanted to scream, to run, to hit him back, but instead I just said, quietly, "That wasn't you. That was her. It's always been her." Dr. Clark was already confessing to the FBI in the corner. "I didn't know she'd go this far. I was just following protocol." "Yeah, sure." Victoria, surrounded, trembling, held onto her last thread of power. "You think this will ruin me? You forget who I am." I stepped right up to her, eyes level. "No, Victoria, you forgot who I am." Sirens echoed in the distance, getting closer, louder. The terrace turned to chaos, guests fleeing, servers frozen, everyone desperate to pretend they weren't there. Victoria's world fell apart in slow motion. The Queen, dethroned. I stood alone in the center of that rooftop, the city blazing behind me, the sound of her legacy crumbling in my ears. 5 years of fear, of planning, of being watched and underestimated, all for this. And for the first time in years I let myself breathe. Was it worth it?